Welcome to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hardley. Join us for an hour of music and conversation from the Amphitheater of Chautauqua Institution in Chautauqua, New York. Today's guests are Joe Crookston and Todd Burge. Now please welcome our host, Ken Hardley.
I am a pilgrim and a stranger traveling through this weary land. But I've got a home in that yonder city, Lord, and it's not made by hand. I've got a mother, a sister, and a brother who have gone this way before, and I'm determined to go and see them, good Lord, over on, oh Lord, over on the head of the shore. As I go down to that river of Jordan, just to bathe my weary soul. If I could but touch the hem of his garment, good Lord, then I know, oh Lord, I know it made me whole. Now when I'm dead, laying in my coffin, all my friends and family gathered round, and they can see he's just laying there sleeping. Oh Lord, sweet peace, oh Lord, sweet peace at last is found. I am a pilgrim and a stranger traveling through this weary land, and I'm determined in that city, good Lord, and it's not our Lord, it's not made by hand, and it's not made by hand.
Rolling Hills Radio is funded in part by the New York State Council on the Arts Decentralization REAP-Grant Program with support from the New York State Legislature and Governor Andrew Cuomo, and administered by the Tri-County Arts Council.
Well, welcome to Rolling Hills Radio. Today, recording at the beautiful Amphitheater of Chautauqua Institution. Chautauqua was established in 1874, and many of the most important thinkers, artists, and spiritual leaders of the last 140 years have spent time on these grounds. 4 sitting presidents have spoken here, including Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who gave his famous "I Hate War" speech on this very spot in the Chautauqua Amphitheater. As a destination for great American musicians, Chautauqua has a history of a century and a half of hosting such talent as Duke Ellington, the Punch Brothers, George Gershwin, the Avett Brothers, John Philip Sousa, Ella Fitzgerald, as well as the radio show Prairie Home Companion. There are many more, far too numerous to list. We are honored and pleased to have our show once again on these venerable grounds. Now, on Rolling Hills Radio, you'll hear grassroots Americana music from a wide range of genres. This episode, we're going to be featuring 2 remarkable songwriters. We open the show with a singer, composer, storyteller, and the recipient of many major awards, including the prestigious Album of the Year award from the Folk Alliance. His song, Mercy Now, as recorded by Mary Groce, was voted #6 record of the decade by the prestigious No Depression magazine. He tours incessantly, one of those hardworking artists that you hear about. Here he is with a wonderful song, Fall Down as the Rain. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Joe Crookston to the Rolling Hills Radio stage.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks. When my life is over and I have gone away, I'm gonna leave this big old world and the trouble and the pain. And if I get to heaven, I will not stay. I'll turn myself around again and fall down as the rain. When I finally reach the ground, I'll soak into the side. I'll turn myself around again, come up as goldenrod. Come up as goldenrod, come up as goldenrod. Turn myself around again, come up as goldenrod. Then when I turn dry and brown, I'll lay me down to rest. I'll turn myself around again as part of an eagle's nest. Part of an eagle's nest, part of an eagle's nest. I'll turn myself around again as part of an eagle's nest. When that eagle learns to fly, I'll flutter from that tree. I'll turn myself around again as part of the mystery. Part of the mystery, part of the mystery. I'll turn myself around again as part of the mystery. Part of the mystery, part of the mystery. I'll turn myself around again as part of the mystery. When my life is over and I have gone away, I'm gonna leave this big old world and the trouble and the pain. And if I get to heaven, I will not stay. I'll turn myself around again and fall down as the rain. You sing it with me? Fall down as the rain, fall down as the rain. I turn myself around again and fall down as the rain. Fall down as the rain, fall down as the rain. I'll turn myself around again and fall down as the rain. Welcome, everybody.
Joe Crookston. How about that, Joe Crookston? Fall down as the rain. Great stuff. Now, Joe, welcome back. And where have you been? What have you been doing since the last time we saw you?
Well, like I said, I've been in Ireland traveling around. I've been writing a bunch of new songs. I'm also a painter, and I've been exploring creativity. I love being here during the week of creativity, because sometimes I think, what the hell am I doing with my life? And the pastor whose talk this morning reminded me what I'm doing with my life, and how creativity sometimes for me ends up being Wendell Berry is someone that I love, and he has a saying about how sometimes writing poetry and creating art, if it doesn't do any good in the world at all, at least he is saving his own soul and preserving the integrity of his own soul by creating. And sometimes I feel, Ken, like I'm preserving the integrity of my own soul by writing songs, by making paintings. And if they can affect someone else, then beautiful. But if they don't, I'm interested in staying awake and alive.
Now, you and I talked a bit about this backstage. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? You know, there are some musicians that, in fact, watching you play, you can kind of sense it and feel it, that something happens to you while you're creating, while you're making music. Can you talk about that?
Something happens to me. I really know what you mean. We were talking about this backstage a little bit, and I think for me it's about maybe moving energy. I think it's about the sadness of the world, listening to the news that we take in every day. I think there's elements of being alive that can dampen our hearts and spirits. And I think for me, when I'm singing and playing and writing and performing, I'm breaking loose the cobwebs, and I'm breaking loose the stuck parts inside of me that feel shut down, and I'm letting them out so that I can be maybe a more free, cultural, creative. And that feels like my spiritual practice. That's what I'd say.
Very nice.
Like
it turns into like a simpatico with the people in the room with you, it seems. Yeah. You've got another song for us? Tell us about this. Something about, well, you tell us.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
It's your song.
I'll sing a song called Abel, Baker, Charlie, and Dog. My grandfather lived until he was 98 years old. He worked full-time at a glue factory in Kenmore, Ohio until he was 96 years old. 40 hours a week, he was forced to retire. He was forced to retire by my dad, who was retired. And he was driving his father-in-law to work every day and back. And my grandpa drank a 6-pack of Schlitz every day and smoked a pack of cigarettes. And he worked at a glue factory, and he lived until he was 98 years old. So all you vegan, paleo, gluten-free people, give it up. My grandpa told me a story. He was in the Navy in the construction battalion, and in World War II, based on Tinian Island. And it's August 5th today. Tomorrow's August 6th. And I wasn't going to sing this, but I decided, based on the date in early August, my grandfather helped build the runways that the Enola Gay took off from when it flew over Hiroshima. And this song is from the perspective of my grandpa Joe, telling his story. It's called Abel, Baker, Charlie, and Dog. My baby girl was born in 1943. The year before the Navy shipped me out and overseas. And so I held her and kissed her, and I said my goodbyes, leaving Virginia with 1,000 other guys. Leaving Virginia in the South Pacific, beneath the blistering sun, on Tinian Island, there was work to be done. 4,000 Navy Seabees on the ground, crushing up coral and packing it down, crushing and packing it down. They never told us, forbidden to ask. They handed down the orders and we finished the task. We never knew what the runways were for. They said our job would be the one to end the war. Now the Seabees work like hell till the work gets done. We built 4 long runways, laid straighter than guns, and the runways they glittered in the sunshine and fall, named Abel and Baker, Charlie and Dog. Abel, Baker, Charlie and Dog, and the diggers and the cranes and my battalion guys. We paved the way to the Japanese skies, 8,500 feet made of coral and clay. And we built them all in just 53 days. We built them in 53 days. They never told us, forbidden to ask. They handed down the orders and we finished the task. We never knew what the runways were for. They said our job would be the one to end the war. Now the rumors, they flew around Tinian, but none of us ever had a clue what Enola Gay and little boy would do in the early August heat. We all got the news that the runways we built were the runways they used. Abel, Baker, Charlie, and Dog. They never told us, forbidden to ask. They handed down the orders and we finished the task. We never knew what the runways were for. They said our job would be the one to end the war.
That was Joe Crookston. You can find him at joecrookston.com. Joe. Well, our next guest is nothing if not prolific, seeming to be able to write fine songs. He cranks out one song after another. For a while, he was producing a song a week, putting out one CD after another. This guy can write a song anytime. While catching a bus, giving the dog a bath, he can write a song. Todd has 2 new albums that will be released imminently, these following the release of a CD comprised entirely of songs that he played on NPR's Mountain Stage. The host of that show, Larry Groce, refers to Todd as the Dean of West Virginia songwriters. And if I may quote from Amos Perrine of No Depression magazine, like a Randy Newman with a guitar, he's also been described as a Warren Zevon who can evoke bizarre characters and situations. Hearing Burge live takes the cake. The only other live Mountain Stage albums by a single artist are by Jesse Winchester and Laura Nero. So Burge is in good company. Well, here he is with that sorry guy in West Virginia from his new upcoming album, Your Reflection Will Kill You. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Todd Burge to the Rolling Hills Radio stage.
It's great to be here. I'm intimidated by doing smart songs in such a smart place, but I'm going to try. Whoever said beauty is in everything? Whoever said beauty isn't truth? Lied like some ugly rug who had some dirt or nasty bug to cover up, cover up. There once was this guy from West Virginia who looked a lot like a younger version of me. He did some things that should stay hidden. He did so many things his kids should never see. Never see. And if you ever crossed his path, if he's ever done you some sort of wrong, there's a good chance he's just forgotten, 'cause the wrong stuff was done to you so long ago. Long ago. Long ago. Long ago, long ago, long ago, long ago, long ago. So I've heard it from a pretty reliable source that he's on his last leg. And if he had enough life in him, he'd say, I'm sorry, and you'd not even have to ask or beg. So believe me when I tell you that he sent me here in his stead to message you in person, to convey the regret in his heart and in his head. To message you in person and convey the regret in his heart and in his head.
Mr. Todd Burge. Wonderful stuff, Todd.
Well, thanks. True story.
Another true story from Todd Burge. The old Uncle Todd keeps telling true stories. And so many instruments at your disposal. Now you've got the ukulele, you play guitar, you sing in falsetto, you whistle. You're a walking one-man band. It's incredible. Does that affect your songwriting? I mean, do you ever like whistle and say, hey, that's a song?
That happened to me just 5 seconds before you started talking, Ken.
How does he do that? Well, you got another song for us, Todd. What do you got?
I do have a new song. And this comes from a variety of things. Years ago, when I worked my way through, back in West Virginia, I worked my way through college, working for a concrete plant. And those boys like to hunt. And I would go hunting on occasion with my dad, and we'd go deer hunting, squirrel hunting, and all that. And I never saw one thing. But I always, my brother, would just shoot at trees and stuff like that. I don't know what it is, but now I see, we see like deer, they've taken over our backyard now, and there's like 50 of them back there every day, but we'd never see them, and I don't think I could have shot one. But these guys, they were happy to go out there and do it. And these truck drivers that I worked with in college, and they would call it dropping meat. You're familiar with that, right? Dropping meat? Maybe it's a West Virginia thing, I don't know.
Well, let's hear all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Burge.
Deep in the valley, 80 miles from our home, sits a family cabin with 12 beds and a buck stove. There's a deer head on the wall beside the bear, beside the elk. They didn't see it coming, didn't know to ask for help. The freezer in the cellar holds frozen calls of the wild. Thaw it, cook it, it'll energize us all. Pap and Uncle, the cousins and me are locked and loaded to the T. The whole 9 yards is begging to be popped off in the trees. Rise and shine, it's killing time. See? When you look them in the eye, you'll see the love of this green earth and the reflection of the you that you once were back at birth. So I sit here in Pap's tree stand, making things a bit unfair. Frozen toes, runny nose, makes me wish I was back there. Back at work, bitching about my boss, having a laugh at his expense, while wishing I was in some tree, dreaming about dropping meat, dropping meat.
Thank you. Todd Burge, dropping meat. All right, that was Todd Burge. For more information about him, please log on to toddburge.com. Once again, this is our gluten-free vegan show. So at any rate, we will have more music and conversation with our guests, as well as a song we'll all do together from the man who was instrumental in laying the groundwork for the conscience of Americana music. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hardley, episode 77. If you would like to be part of our live radio audience, log on to rollinghillsradio.org or call 716-294-0416. We'll be back after the break with more from Todd Burge and Joe Crookston. The second half of our show begins in just a minute. If you would like to be included on the Rolling Hills email distribution list, send your email address to ken@rollinghillsradio.org. To hear or view this episode and all past episodes of Rolling Hills Radio, log on to rollinghillsradio.org. You can also find us on Facebook. And now, back to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hardley.
Thank you, Julia Cecil Hanley. We have lots more to go here from Chautauqua, New York on Rolling Hills Radio. Rolling Hills Radio is accessible to the public on community radio, local access cable, college radio stations, and other non-commercial outlets. It's important, maybe more important than ever, that the arts are readily and affordably available, and that we are always vigilant for ways to bring this music and this message to our public. That means that the show can be found in places that are other than mainstream. Getting out of the mainstream of the mass media means that you will hear things that you may never have imagined. Specialized information, unusual viewpoints, esoteric facts. For example, I was listening to a community radio station the other day, and I heard that glass takes 1 million years to decompose. And it occurred to me, glass may decompose, and I'll still be waiting for the Buffalo Bills to win a Super Bowl. Joe Crookston is about to play another song for us. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Crookston.
I've been thinking about the eternal battle between good and evil, the Joseph Campbell archetypal hero's journey. This is a conversation between two birds, a crow and a bluebird. It's a conversation between hope and cynicism. It's a conversation between Democrats and Republicans. It's called The Crow and the Bluebird. Oh, the crow said to bluebird, I've come to steal your crown. With all the fury by my side, I'll tear your kingdom down. I'll tear your kingdom down. And the bluebird said to the crow, my crown you'll never steal, when love and persistence are the altar where I kneel, the altar where I kneel. And so it is, and I'll always be singing Jubilee. And the crow said to bluebird, you don't know a thing. Hopelessness is everywhere, and cynical is king. Cynical is king. And the bluebird said to the crow, I reject your wretched fear. My battle wings may tail me, I'll always be here. I'll always be here. And so it is, and I'll always be singing Jubilee. Will you sing one with me? And so it is, and I'll always be singing Jubilee. And the crow said to bluebird, my wicked ways are true. I'll steal your golden glory crown, and I'll be the death of you. I'll be the death of you. And the bluebird said to the crow, I'm not afraid of thee. Well, I'll fly beyond your shrouded cage, and I'll fly beyond the lonely, and I'll fly beyond the fear to the Jubilee. And so it is, and I'll always be singing Jubilee. So it is, and I'll always be singing Jubilee. So it is, and I'll always be singing Jubilee.
Joe Crookston. Well, in addition to his prodigious talents, his prodigious musical talents, Joe is also an artist. He paints. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yeah, paints. It's a short word, so I could say that. He paints. And we actually have a couple of samples of his painting here on stage today. And if I'm not mistaken, you're going to talk a little bit about that and about a song having to do with those paintings.
Yeah, I was thinking today that I would stick to more story songs. This amphitheater sounds so beautiful, and I just wanted to sing some songs. I think right now, especially in our divided country, that the human stories and the universal stories that connect us is what I am passionate about. So I wanted to sing you some story songs today. One of them, I was asked to go to the World War I Museum, the National World War I Museum in Kansas City, go down into the archive of the building and discover a story, something, and write and create art based on what I found, and then bring it to Kansas City and present it with Judy Collins at the keynote speech. And I'm like, no pressure, okay? So that's what I did, and I knew right away if I was going to write a song about World War I, it was going to be through the human lens. And I knew right away if I was going to write another World War I song, I was going to find a courageous woman who was in World War I that nobody had ever heard of before, and let her story shine out into the world. Didn't take me long to find Florence Hemphill. The painting here, the gold one, is Florence Hemphill. She was a nurse based in France in the trenches for 2 years, and she wrote over 200 letters back to her family. I was able to sit with those letters, her cursive handwriting, and lift her words off the page and put them into this song. The song is called The Letters of Florence Hemphill.
Joe Crookston.
I came back home to Wilson County in the gold Kansas plains, from the gutted hills of France and the cold muddy rain. And I still think about the sisters, the cigarettes and English tea, and the barbed wire and trenches, and things we never thought we'd see. And in the rumbling battle noise, we took care of the boys so they wouldn't die alone. We could send them back home. When the midnight whistle blew, I donned my boots and my navy blue. But anyhow, that It's all over now. Jimmy Clellan was a piper. They brought him in from no man's land, and I fed him the ripest berries, and I saved his one good hand. And that redhead with the photograph, as I wrapped up his eyes, if he got home to West Virginia, I knew he'd never see his bride. And in the rumbling battle noise, we took care of the boys so they wouldn't die alone, and we could send them back home. When the midnight whistle blew, I donned my boots and my navy blue. But anyhow, that's all over now. And all the sleepless nights we spent, and all the letters came and went, and all the British girls and I, we lost some, but we tried. We lay down in the bracken fern to make it through. We had to learn about the broken and the torn, mending lives and staying warm. Coming home to the prairie gold with the story that I told in the rumbling battle noise. We took care of the boy. I came back home to Wilson County, gold Kansas plains, from the gutted hills of France and the cold muddy rain.
Joe Crookston. JoeCrookston.com to find out more about him. Here's tunes, buy his CDs, all that stuff.
Thank you so much.
I think Todd's getting ready to play another song for us. I'm sure it's going to have the gravity and pathos that we've come to expect from Mr. Burge. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Todd Burge.
Thank you very much. Let's hear for Joe again. Wow, what fantastic work, man. Once while I was sleeping, deep into the night, opened up both my lids, something didn't seem quite right. Oh, the light got too low. I needed someone to tell me, where'd my Jesus night light go? Where'd it go? Once I was certain I'd seen the Lord. He'd ease into my home, didn't need a key for the door. Oh, oh, oh. The light got too low, way too low. I needed someone to tell me, where'd my Jesus night light go? Now these were some dark days that I couldn't ignore. The light that should stay lit from now on and more. I knew some flea markets had them, big lots had them too. They had them new, they had them used. So I bought them by the bushel, I bought them by the pound. I bought 2 for every receptacle, I had a few just laying around. Then the light was bright, bright as could be. It was blinding me in my kitchen while I was trying to drink my tea. I couldn't see my wife, I couldn't see my guitar, I couldn't see the TV, the floor, the door, the walls. I couldn't see this song, I couldn't see my dog. My house was so hot I didn't need to throw on a log all winter long. Somebody asked me what was I thinking. I said, Christ. I got him in my eyes all day, I got him in my eyes all night. I got Jesus in my cereal, Son of God in my manwich. I got a power bill so powerful I need to get a second job digging a ditch. Dig this. Now God Almighty, I could see his light. Son of God, alrighty. It was taking every bit of my mighty, so I said, Dear Lord, I gotta talk to you. I kinda overdone your son right here in my living room. I got him plugged in my kitchen in every room, even with my bed. I got my life all crazy, seeing so much likeness of you in my head. Then everything got quiet, everything got still. I thought God thought I'd overstepped and tripped on his mansion on the hill. I started to shake, thinking about my fate. I got the nerve to speak again, but it was a bit too late. Then came a strong wind with a little bit of lightning striking through. Then came the darkness and I cried for a night or two like this. Oh, the light got too low. I needed someone to tell me where'd my Jesus night light go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Take it, Todd. Then came a deep voice, and it came from up above. It sounded a bit spooky, but it held a good kind of love. He said, you gotta like this likeness of an image of me. But 10 for every room, that would make any mortal man crazy. So now when I walk through the valley with the shadow to get me a midnight snack, I know the chances are I won't fall and break my back. Where'd my Jesus nightlight go? Thank you.
Todd Burge, Jesus Nightlight. Indeed. This guy can write a song about anything. Which reminds me, actually, you are going to be teaching a course on songwriting at West Virginia University. Do I have that right? This is the first songwriting course they've ever had.
That is true, Ken. They invited me to come to WVU, which is my alma mater, and talk about songwriting is what I call it. We're going to talk about WVU? Right on. So I'm going to talk about songwriting for 16 weeks straight, and we're going to create music, and it's going to be a good thing.
Great, great. Well, we'll call you Professor Burge now, if you don't mind. That'd be great. And you've got another song for us. No, I can tell by the way you're strapping things on there.
I do.
Tell us about this.
Well, it goes like this. If I were a drunkard, I would tell you what I would do. Oh, I'd quit my drinking and I'd work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. If I were a gambler, I'd tell you what I would do. Oh, I'd quit my gambling and I'd work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. Keep on preaching and I'd work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. Thank you very much.
Todd Burge. All right. What do you say after that? Well, I'll tell you what, Woody Guthrie said, it's a folk singer's job to comfort disturbed people and to disturb comfortable people. You know, these two amazing songwriters do both of those things. Joe's songs bring insight and ultimate reassurance, not unlike John Steinbeck. Todd, well, he's not shy about disturbing one's consciousness in the tradition of Mark Twain and Kurt Vonnegut Jr. Make no mistake, music and the people who bring it to you are important, certainly more important than ever in our history and in our national consciousness right now. If Americana music has an ancestry, at some point it must run through the man who wrote this song, Woody Guthrie. And here on this Chautauqua Amphitheater stage, in what Theodore Roosevelt referred to as this most American of American places, we will play this most American of American songs. Please sing it with us. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, to the Redwood Forest and the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw it below me in the Golden Valley. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond desert. And all around me the voice was sounding, this land was made for you and me.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, to the Redwood Forest, to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there. On the sign it said, no trespassing. On the other side it didn't say nothing. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
One Sunday morning, in the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office, I saw the people, and they were hungry, and they were wondering, is this land made for you and me? Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever turn me back. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Sing it again. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
One more time.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Ken Hardley.
Todd Burge. Joe Crookston. I'm Ken Hardley. We'll see you next time on Rolling Hills Radio.
You've been listening to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hardley, episode 77. Special thanks to the Chautauqua staff, Joe Crookston and Todd Burge. The Rolling Hills Radio cast and crew are audio liaison Ed Plug-em-in Tomasini, stage manager and Stern Looks Brianne Fidel, business affairs Tom Fidel and Susan George, looking for the boss Diamond Dick Gould, and the boss Kathy Hardley. I'm Julia Cecila Hanley, and I'm going for a walk now. Please join us next time on Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hardley.